or shipping and incinerating them at a loss. She'll tell you more. Please welcome Stephanie.
Thank you. So I want to start with a simple and poignant question. Are you naked right now? You're obviously not, because you're using fabric. It's everywhere, right? It's on your bodies, it's the material under your chair, it's right under your feet, the carpet. So it's where it's supposed to be, covering things like us, and it's where it's not supposed to be. Sitting in warehouses around the world, just waiting to be burned or buried. And this picture is a bit deceiving because when you think of this waste, a lot of people think of scraps. Well, I'm saying for some of this inventory, it's hundreds to thousands to tens of thousands, up to millions of yards of perfectly good fabric sitting on rolls, sometimes still sealed, that is sitting in a warehouse collecting dust or going to get burned or sent to landfill. And why? Well, because it's managed by inaccurate data and records. Like this. It's an actual inventory management system for one of the world's biggest fashion brands who we work with and shall remain nameless. And by inventory management system, I obviously mean Excel spreadsheet. And it was riddled with error. They came to us and they thought they had a certain amount of textile waste in their supply chain and liability already on the books. And in working with us, they realized they had more than 10x that. So that wasted material in your supply chains, it's hurting your business's pockets. And it's also hurting our planet. One t-shirt takes 700 gallons of water to produce. It's actually the #2 polluter in the entire world. And I'll just give you one scary statistic. But if we continue at the current pace of textile production alone, by 2025, 2/3 of the entire world's population will face shortages of fresh water and be exposed to hazardous chemicals from textile production alone. So we're not talking about 50 years from now or 10 years from now. We're talking about today, and we're also talking about on our shores. Obviously, this is an image of a river in China running red because of contamination from textile production, but we now have this issue here. Parts of the waters in America are polluted from this. It is happening now, and we have to make a change. So why do I know all this? Well, my family has been in the fashion and textiles business for over 100 years. In 1896, my great-grandfather came over on a ship from Austria. He landed at Ellis Island, and he settled into the Lower East Side. He was an immigrant chasing the American dream, and he had to figure out how to make a living. So what did he do? He found materials and supplies nearby, things people had brought over on the ship with them, like furs that they weren't still using. He would create beautiful fashion garments with minimal waste and minimal toxins because his bottom dollar depended on it. And he sold to local customers. And it was an incredibly profitable business. Now, of course, in 1896, he didn't talk about it as sustainability or circular economy, but at the end of the day, that's very much what it was. Now, today's raw material supply chains are so much more complicated. We know that hundreds of steps across the globe, metric tons of water, chemicals, crops, oil, all used in the process. But our vision with Queen of Raw is how do we use technology to get back to the way my great-grandfather did business, which made sense for people, for planet, but also for profit. So Queen of Raw's marketplace helps factories, brands, and retailers sell that $120 billion worth of unused fabric to brands and creators, keeping it out of landfill and turning that pollution into profit. So how do we bring all that waste back to life? Let's take New York Fashion Week, for example. It sets the trend for the entire industry. Last year, fuchsia and pink were all the rage. After Fashion Week, factories, brands, and retailers post their unused fuchsia and pink fabric on Queen of Raw. They can now manage all their inventory in just one place. We make the transition from warehouse to web seamless. Designers, well, they want to design with what's hot, so they do a Google search. When they search for pink knit tricot, for example, they'll find Queen of Raw first. Then they can purchase everything straight from the sellers with the click of a button. That's it. And if those designers don't end up using all that fabric, they can sell it back on Queen of Raw. H&M alone had billions of dollars of unused fabric just sitting in warehouses around the world with no way to get rid of it until now. And by the way, H&M in the fashion industry, it's just a drop in the bucket because this problem affects everyone, from Louis Vuitton to Chrysler to Hewlett-Packard, across industries and around the world. Now, every week, thousands of targeted buyers can search for fabric on Queen of Raw. We're giving people access to materials at a deep discount that they never had before. And for every sale, we get a 25% commission. And that is on top of our monthly subscription fees from the sellers. Our platform gives them really valuable data and analytics around their waste, letting them know in real time in their supply chains what they have in waste. Click a button, you can automatically sell it in our public or private marketplace. And now that we have all this previously dark data, we can make intelligent predictions to help them minimize those waste streams going forward. A comment was made yesterday on our panel, by doing all of this data and analytics, aren't I writing myself out of a marketplace business? And the answer is yes. My dream is we never need a marketplace for waste because the world now knows what's going on in their supply chain, how to minimize those waste streams, and at that point, we'll have everyone on our software, we'll solve the world's water crisis. I'm A-okay with that. And so we really want to see the results. This has to be an economic business solution. So we have seen that for our enterprise customers, this can actually shave up to 15% off their bottom line. And on top of that, it obviously can increase their top line sales because now they have data and analytics about sustainability, the water, the toxins, the energy that they've saved by buying and selling waste, and they can deliver that if they want to their end customers. We also are catching these errors in their supply chain in real time. And in the fall alone, we're really proud. We've saved over 1 billion gallons of water to date. And I put that in, yes, we're very proud of that metric, but at the same time to show that even as an early stage bootstrap startup, you can make a significant impact. We did do all this as a bootstrap company of three people strong, Stephanie the hustler, Phil the hacker, and Corbin the hipster. Each of us come from a family of entrepreneurs. We have all been entrepreneurs, and we've worked at large companies developing deep expertise in how technology connects textiles past to its future. Fabric, it's everywhere. And it's the biggest market many people have never looked at. Michael's $6 billion, Etsy $1.8 billion, Joanne $1.6 billion. Massive businesses all built on selling raw materials, just like Queen of Raw. Except we found a huge hole in the market, that unused leftover inventory, and we're here to fill it. We have been recognized around the globe for our mission, for people, for planet, for profit. Even Ashton Kutcher and WeWork love supply chains. So we've got fans around the world in what we're all doing here. It's powerful and an exciting time to be in supply chain. But why does any of this matter now? Well, brands across industries and around the globe, including H&M, have all signed commitments to reduce their waste by 2030. And they do face exposure to significant liability with all those recent changes in the laws if they don't. Trump, China, Brexit, tariffs, trade wars, imports, exports, you name it. The game is changing in supply chain, and understanding where your inventory sits and what to do with your waste is going to be the future. My family has been in the fabric business for over 100 years. I am here to position us for the next 100. We have already saved over 1 billion gallons of water, and the colored dots on the map represent where in the world we've already had an environmental impact. I do want my 3-year-old son to have clean water to drink and a planet to live on. My name is Stephanie Benedetto, and I'm the Queen of Raw.
Thank you, Stephanie. Who has questions for Stephanie? Who wants to kick it off? Yes, right there in the back.
Do you have any ideas on how to, so Burberry, for example, burns 20 or $30 million of finished clothing, and the problem is, that's like high quality stuff that if they start reselling, it'll diminish the value. I'm just wondering if you have any ideas for addressing that waste.
In terms of when things are luxury and they don't want to resell it?
Right.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, you can walk down any New York City street right now and get a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel or a Cartier knockoff of anything, right? So why shouldn't those luxury brands realize how they can monetize this for real value? And they should be able to make money on that, right? And not let the copycats copy. We know it's already happening. Factories do sell their excess stock already, or if they don't burn it or landfill it. So why shouldn't the brands and retailers know who they sell to, where it goes, and what happens to it? With our platform, they can choose to approve or disapprove an order. So they do get some control over that. But I think in the future, I mean, your stuff is out there already, right? We got Nike Flyknit and Fly Leather on our shoes every day. It's out there. If someone wants to copy, they're going to copy. Yep.
Along the same lines, you showed a pile of T-shirts.
Yes.
So there's finished product
Yes.
that could be.
You bet. So, I mean, there are some incredible brands companies and startups that I saw doing a lot of work around finished goods. ThreadUp, you know, The Real, even all these amazing platforms. So we focused our platform up the chain on the raw material side because I believe that the issue down the chain is systemic. The reason we have all of this at the end is because of a lot of these issues and lack of data up the chain. But to your point, with our platform, we can actually connect the dots between what sells on our platform to the RFID thread or QR code in a finished good, and then identify what happens at end of life. So we can actually help waste management, if they get all of those shirts, know what it's made of, what brand it comes from, and what to do with it. Yeah.
Hi, I love the concept. I had a question for you. So, what happens once, like, let's say a brand in New York decides to purchase fabric, and their facilities are in Portugal? I mean,
Yes.
where are the fabric to begin with?
So my vision and dream, sorry to any of the green shipping companies in here, is that you never need to ship anything anywhere ever again. Because you can find what you need, when you need it, in dead stock all around you. Now, even though we're ambitious, I don't have the world's dead stock on my platform yet. We will, but for right now, people are still shipping. I'm still proud to be diverting this from landfill. Yes, there is a sustainable impact in shipping. We have picked green shipping carriers, and we do use more sustainable shipping methods. But as we grow, we hope to bring that down even more.
Have you found it more effective to sell through the head of sustainability and say, hey, this is a recycling play, or through the procurement as a savings play?
Good question. So we get our brand champions and our company champions definitely in the corporate directors of social responsibility. It's awesome. But they're usually newer positions. A lot of times they don't have a big budget, and they also don't know yet exactly what their directives or goals are, because this is a powerful mission, but a new mission. We actually find our biggest champions with the CFOs. Obviously, this is a financial proposition for them to get off their liability off their books. With the COOs and the CIOs who are looking at the technology around their supply chain. And then, of course, we work supply chain and procurement for the actual data.
Just, you mentioned the word dead stock,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. How did you estimate, or how do you estimate how much dead stock is out there?
Yeah, it's a good question, and not a lot of people knew. We did our own independent research as well as worked with others. The global textiles market is estimated at around $800 billion a year and growing. And of that, with our research and other independent reports, 15% of that ends up as waste every single year. It's actually 15% of every single step of a production run ends up as waste. So that's where we got some of the metrics and the numbers, and we have verified it.
What about stuff that's already been worn? Like stuff that people are done with it and they want to either dispose of it.
Finished goods?
Like, yeah, but it's already been worn by the consumer.
Yeah, no, with finished goods, I mean, there are opportunities, and we do work with recycling partners. We have a non-for-profit arm, and we do work with them around if there are finished goods or textiles that we get that either are extremely proprietary and they refuse to sell it, or it is a damaged finished garment, and we can break it down into fibers, recycle it. To me, that's still manufacturing something new, and I'd love to get things in kind moved, but of course, that's a part of the model, and important.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Let's go change the world.
Oh, I forgot to tell you to bring your computer.
Oh, I got it.
That's my bad. is he so relaxed? It's my fault.